Hi, this is Chatterboxing. I'm Sean. I made a video about a month ago asking if Kell Brook could beat Gennady Golovkin. Um, Unsurprisingly, the general consensus was that no, he couldn't. Golovkin would be too big, too strong. Um, it's a welterweight going up to middleweight. It's a mismatch. He doesn't really have anything that can trouble Golovkin. No obvious advantages, so it's very difficult for people to make a case for him winning. And in spite of the best efforts of Eddie Hearn and people like that, and a few other people, they haven't really managed to convince the boxing public that this is a close fight, or that Kell Brook has a realistic chance of winning. And most people pretty much think that it's an impossible task for Kell Brook. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe that it's an impossible task. I believe that it's a very, very difficult task, but it's not insurmountable. I do obviously accept that the most obvious or the most likely outcome will be that Golovkin wins by either knockout or stoppage. I think most people would agree with that, myself included. I think that's the most likely outcome. But there is, to me at least, an element of unknown about this, which makes it slightly intriguing. I mean, both of them, we don't really know how good either of them are. We know that Golovkin is the best middleweight right now, or at least he's considered the best middleweight. We know that he's been avoided by a lot of the other top people, from going back to like Sergio Martinez, Felix Sturm, then later on coming up people like Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo, Danny Jacobs. Pretty much everyone is avoiding him. All the top people, all the people who we consider to be the best, haven't, for one reason or another, wanted to get in a ring with him. So he's fought good opposition, but not elite level opposition. So although he looks unstoppable, there are question marks over him as well. So we don't know that potentially he has weaknesses that haven't really been exploited as of yet. Case of Kell Brook, he's not established as the number one in his division like Golovkin is. Some people think he's the best. Some people think other people are the best. He's considered one of the best, but he's not the dominant force in the welterweight division that Golovkin is. So there's even more question marks over him. He's the nickname Special One, like a bit of a Mourinho rip-off, to be honest. But he used to be called Special K. He looks like a very, very special fighter. He fought Sean Porter, and he looked very good. People were very interested to see where he went from there. And then obviously he got stabbed, nearly died. He was out for a while, had to fight the mandatory. Fought a couple of quite underwhelming opponents. People got a bit frustrated. So again, we haven't really seen the best of him. We haven't seen what he can do. Now, him going up now to middleweight, well, it's a sort of double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, on the one hand, I suppose the most proven hand would be that going up to middleweight is going to be a disadvantage for him, in the sense that he's going to have to be carrying around extra weight that he's not used to. At least in fighting, he's going to be hitting someone who's obviously used to being hit by bigger people. So when he normally hits welterweights, you think he's going to do more damage than when he's hitting someone like Golovkin, who so far has shown no vulnerabilities. He's shown that he's got a good chin at middleweight against people like David Lemieux, Curtis Stevens. So he's proven to be able to take these kind of punches. He's also, Kell Brook's not used to being hit by people as hard as Golovkin. He's not used to being on the inside of people as strong as Golovkin. So these are all things which are obviously going to work against him. But that said, he's going up to a weight where he says he feels more comfortable. He's obviously not going to have to drain himself down. If you look at some of the pictures of him, and you see him at some of the weigh-ins before, he did look really, really drained. He's fought at 154 pounds before, I remember, against Castle Jones, because he couldn't make the weight. He's been a welterweight for a very long time, so you'd think that going up in weight, at least in some way, is going to be advantageous to him. Whether it's going to be advantageous like straight away against the best middleweight out there is obviously another question, but there is an element of unknown to it. We don't know. You do have people who go up in weight and they're a lot better at that weight. There are various examples of this. So, let's hope that that's the case with him. So these two things make it slightly intriguing as well, because this is someone going up who's never lost before. People make the comparisons with Amir Khan, but I don't see that comparison at all. With Amir Khan, we knew his limitations. We've seen him beaten before, we've seen him knocked out before, we've seen him knocked over before by British level lightweights. So we knew with Amir Khan that, as Floyd Mayweather would say, there's blueprints, multiple blueprints to beat him. So it was no real intrigue going into the Canelo fight. It was just a matter of time before he got knocked out, and everybody knew that. This is slightly different because although most people expect him to lose, we don't really know how good he can be. So that at least makes it quite interesting. Okay, well, we've all heard, as I've mentioned earlier, the most likely outcome is that Golovkin's going to win by stoppage or by knockout. We've all heard the cases for why, so I don't really think I need to go over that particularly again. What I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to focus on what I think Kell would need to do in order to fight a perfect fight and stand a chance of winning. Well, I said in the other video that, in my opinion, he can't afford can't afford to move too much. He can't afford to fight on the back foot. He has to stand his ground. Now, I stand by that completely. I think, firstly, he's not very good at. Well, I haven't seen him effectively do that on the back foot, and I also don't believe that to be a particularly effective strategy against Golovkin. I haven't seen anybody do that effectively. I think Mayweather possibly could do it. You'd have to have that sort of level of skill at fighting that particular fight to have a chance. Kell Brook's got zero chance. If he does that, sooner or later Golovkin's going to walk him down. We know how good he is at cutting off the ring. He'll catch him on the ropes and he'll take him out. He won't be able to get away for 12 rounds. So that, to me, would be a very bad strategy, and I don't think it can work. One thing he needs to do, said he needs to stand his ground. I'm not suggesting that he just stands there toe to toe like just an all-out war, because obviously that would be suicide. Obviously, Gennady Golovkin is a very, very hard puncher. He's got a very good chin. He's used to fighting at middleweight. That would be a very bad idea as well. So what Kell Brook needs to do, in my opinion, is mix it up. He doesn't have any obvious advantages. Maybe he's slightly faster, but he's not that much faster to the point where he can base a game plan around fighting like that. He needs to, in my opinion, stand his ground most of the time, be in the pocket, so to speak, landing hard punches and avoiding being hit, and then moving when he can, but then without letting himself get cornered and then let Golovkin just unload on him. So he needs to get his respect. He's saying that he's gonna, I think he said, to quote him directly, to rip into him. So whether that's a good idea or not, I don't know, but I definitely think he needs to let him know that you can't just walk straight through me. Now, whether he's capable of doing that, I don't know. But in terms of a strategy, you have to think the things that he does well, he's got very accurate punches and he's good. Now, I'm not saying he's the best upper body movement. He doesn't have great upper body movement. He's quite kind of basic, to be honest, quite upright. But he does have what he does very well, just in terms of the very simple, like a kind of pull counter. Like he could stand there and he could just split one and just come back and get you with the counter. So he could do that very well. He could just stand there, so you're both at the same range. He could just avoid one, come back, boom. Basic stuff, but he does that very well, and he's got very good straight hands, straight right hand, straight. He's got a good jab as well. So if he can manage to stay there, land some good punches, and manage to avoid, he's going to get hit at some point in this fight. So he's obviously going to need to be able to take some punches. He's not going to be able to take that many, is he? So he's going to have to be able to take some, but it sounds like a bit of a stupid point to make, I suppose, but he's going to have to hit him consistently more than he gets hit himself. He can't afford to do it the other way around. Golovkin probably can. Big advantage. So he's going to need to do that, and he's going to need to move when he can, but he's going to need to do it in spurts. One thing that he does quite well, Kell Brook, which he's going to need to work to do very effectively in this fight, is he's got quite good, like, kind of, will come in with a hook, and then he'll almost like push off from the head. So he'll be, if someone's got like a high guard, and he'll come around the hook, he'll come around the guard with the hook, and then he'll kind of move off the way it's gone. So he'll kind of hit him, and then he's this way, moving around to the sides. He was doing that very well against Carson Jones. Now Carson Jones, obviously, he's no Golovkin, but he's big. This was 154. He's got a very good chin. He's a pressure fighter. He's relentless, determined, and very tough. And if you're in a fight with him, basically. So he was coming forward all the time. And Kell Brook was doing that nicely. Very good punch selection. And like that, through that typical right hook, and then he'd be off to the side, or come with a left uppercut, and then he'd be off the other way. Good kind of lateral movement. That's what he needs to do. He can't be going back in straight lines. If he does that, then it's only a matter of time. He needs to do everything perfectly. He needs to stand his ground, hit with hard punches, move, good upper body movement, moving around laterally, never in straight lines. If he needs to get on the back foot for a little bit, do that, but do not get caught on the ropes. And don't allow Golovkin to get into a rhythm where he can just come forward and stalk you, and then he just gets his rhythm, and then that would be that would be a very bad idea, and that would end very badly. He needs to also. People have been saying like, he's not going to be able to do the clinches on him. No, he probably won't. He probably won't be able to do that many, because Golovkin is probably stronger than him. He's also skillful at getting out of clinches. He knows a few tricks. But again, like I say, he needs to do things in spurts. There'll be times when he just stand his ground, boom, hit a couple, move back, boom, out to the side. Times when you have to get on the back foot. Times you have to just try and wrap him up with a clinch and use a few tricks. Get back to the Carson Jones fight. He's a few good little tricks in that one. I've seen him do it in lots of them, but I'm talking about a pressure fighter where someone's really coming on the front foot all the time. Good one where it's not technically legal, but it's going to be in England. He's the underdog. Possibly the referee won't be too harsh on him if he does a few little naughty little tricks. Like, for example, like he kind of when he comes to the clinch, he'll kind of like hold him down a little bit and then come up with the uppercut. Good stuff. If he can, like, just little things like that, he's going to need everything in this fight. If he can do that, I'm not saying he'd be able to do it all the time. Against Sean Porter, he managed to do the same tactic quite a lot. Sean Porter, firstly, he wasn't really strong enough to do anything about it. Secondly, he didn't really have the technique to do anything about it. I don't think that's going to be the case here. He's going to have to use it sporadically. Just mix it up and not get too reliant on one thing. So if he can do that, another thing he does quite well, another quite sneaky little trick. He'll come in with a jab, and he'll kind of control the head so they can't see. So he sort of jab them here, and so they'll be over the thing, and then he'll come up with like a cheeky uppercut underneath, or like a right hand over the top, so they can't really see it. He's kind of holding their head away, and then boom, or boom. If he can do this kind of stuff, he's going to need every trick in the book. He can do that using angles as well. He's going to have to use all that kind of footwork that he has, all those years at the Ingle gym, practicing the footwork, switching stances, lateral movement, in a good upper body movement. He's going to have to, everything's going to have to be perfect for this. The mentality is going to be key as well. He's going to go into the ring really wanting to prove a point. Everybody's saying he hasn't got a chance. Now, that's obviously annoyed him, but it's definitely motivated him. I'm sure we can all relate to that. If anyone tells you you can't do something, you've got no chance, then you want to prove them wrong, don't you? He's obviously a very, very competitive man for him to have reached this level that he's at in the sport. So I believe that he's going to have a real motivation and a real will to win, to prove people wrong. Plus the frustration of how his career has gone. You know, I believe that he's really wanted to prove that he's the best. Hasn't had opportunities, had bad luck, and now he really wants to go out there. I mean, he's saying that this will be one of the biggest the biggest British win ever. I mean, it won't be. That is an exaggeration, but it will be up there. I mean, it will probably be one of the biggest in recent years, definitely, like comparable to maybe. I mean, you could say the Fury Klitschko, but I personally thought Fury would win. But maybe I don't know, what's it, Lloyd Hannigan, for example, against Donald Curry. This kind of it would be massive, and he's really got a chance to make a name for himself. He was saying that he doesn't respect Golovkin's power. Yeah, I don't like the sound. He needs to respect his power because he's knocked out 20 people in a row. So, you know, the reality is he hits very hard. So, you know, I hope he's not he was talking about, I can't wait to feel his power. I hope that in reality he's a lot cleverer than that and he doesn't plan on feeling how hard he hits, he plans on avoiding it. If he does get hit, which he will, he can take it. But I do think that his mentality going into this, where he believes he can win, he really wants to prove himself, and he's not going to go in there a beaten man, like a lot of Golovkin's opponents are. He's not going to go in there and just start cowering the minute the bell rings, just looking for a way out. So that's something that gives me hope. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, really. I mean there's no game plan because, well, for me anyway, because there's no obvious advantage that he has. He just needs to do, in my opinion, a bit of everything and have to do it perfectly with total concentration, no mistakes, and just hope that he can really show us something that he's never shown us before. And who knows? I mean, with the crowd behind him, Golovkin fighting in another country, you know, he's used to fighting in other countries, but I mean, he's fights like Monaco, in America, where like a lot of the fans were behind. It's not the same thing. When you're in the atmosphere in England is very different, especially when you are the away fighter. I mean, maybe that works in his favour. Who knows? But it's definitely something that makes it interesting. So for me, whilst I accept that the most likely outcome is that Golovkin will win, I'm optimistic, and if everything goes perfectly according to plan and he does everything with no mistakes at all, then you never know. And let's just hope so. So if anyone else has any other ideas, any other things that I've left out that you think that he could use effectively in this fight, then let me know. I'd be very interested to hear if anyone else has any other ideas. And that's it for now. So thanks very much for watching.